Thank you so much for joining the After Chat of Humanity Rising. Another amazing session. Alan, you're here. How amazing is that?
Well, I love this topic and I love the way Jim summed it up there. And I think we all need to be involved in the conversation. So thanks, Shannon. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm the moderator of this conversation,
Great.
and so I'm a little forward. And it's truly my pleasure. You know, we've been doing this for an awful long time, and I get to say hi to Hope. Hope and I know each other now because of Humanity Rising, and it has been an amazing ride. Thank you, Stan, for creating this space so that we do get to know each other. That's what this space is for, is to allow questions to be asked and answered. And we have a nifty little process here. That's what we do. Mary, thank you for putting your hand up and modeling good behavior. Come on in, Mary.
My pleasure. Thanks, Shannon. Hey, Hope, I wanted to say that I remember the first time you did this little, or a practice. I don't know that it was this one. And I tried to do it and it was really hard for me. And I keep getting your emails, so I stay connected. But what I wanted to say is today, when you said, take your finger, and it's like, oh my God, it was instantly, my whole body was like, woo. And then when at the end, I didn't have to use my finger, it like that quickly got connected for me. Oh my God. I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Poof. I'm like,
Oh, I'm so happy to hear this, Mary. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And then the other thing I got, Jim has been, for longer than I'd like to say that that's what's going on in the planet. We're 90 seconds away from a nuclear war explosion. And when I was writing today, I went, a nuclear wave. Oh. But what I got, like, I don't know, a month ago or something, I went like, well, how come we're not balancing it out by saying we're 90 seconds away from this wave?
Yeah.
And I've been calling it for decades, the critical mass of transformation shifting over. Mm-hmm. So, and then what I kept hearing is either or this or that, this. And I went today, what I got with the wave is like, oh no, this is all going on at the same time. I've been standing for decades for this wave and it can include all of it. And anyway, so it was like really powerful for me today to have all these things keep coming together. And I'm clear where I'm standing now more than I ever have been before. And I'd say I'm just moved to 60 seconds to the critical mass of transformation. Thank you very much out of being here today.
Oh, Mary, that's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I love that critical wave. You're right. That's it. That's it. And thank you so much for your feedback. That's great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This I like the idea of the nuclear clock being, having the reciprocal of it. It's part of the wave. There's two clock faces now, and we have infinite possibilities here.
Yeah.
And I want to hear a little bit more from Alan. And you mentioned a couple of times that you kind of ran through that program. I have to agree.
I'm sorry, but I didn't know how long I had, and there were so many concepts I could spend hours on. So yeah.
Absolutely. And if I might suggest next time, pick your three favorites and talk about those.
I know. Just try to push it all in together. Thank you. You're right.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, absolutely. Maureen, come on in.
So, did you want to ask me something, Shannon?
Oh, Maureen's going to come and ask first.
Oh, okay, great.
I was waiting to go second. So Shannon, you ask Alan first.
No. I'm moderating here. I'm just facilitating the conversation.
Oh,
Yeah, let's
my
fight
goodness
over the
gracious.
floor.
You know me, Maureen. I
Oh,
will dive in if I need to.
oh, I bow to you as my higher self. And Hope, is so wonderful to see you again.
Nice to
And
see
it
you.
was delightful to be on the panel with you at Earthstock.
Mhm.
And anyway, and Alan, it's a great pleasure to meet you. I'm a great fan.
Thank
And we all have many, many friends. We're all family here. And I just wanted to contribute that the work that I developed in my 35th year still somewhat unknown because it would just was way beyond the cognitive dissonance that people couldn't digest, put a place to it. And that is my work is inner resonance technologies. And basically, it's very simple, not as simple as the infinity wave, but it is simple in its end result that you then get to take a tool with you of a single place programmed on your body somewhere, tugging the roof of your mouth, your heart, finger and thumb. That is the end result chemical signature and frequency of wholeness and presence beyond the programming, beyond the limited perceptions and misperceptions that we've all been subject to. So it's the formula of questions that allows that higher quantum superconscious part of yourself to clear your entire field simultaneously, because in that quantum spiritual zone, there is no time. So you can address much more simultaneously without having to figure it out or unweave it out, or look at the strands at the conscious level, which is the minimal processor, and beyond the body's need to keep acting it out and giving you the clue. So it's really a fast track, and it's designed for these times, and it plays really well with others. So I'm always looking for collaborative partners to make everything that we're doing more efficient. And as I say, it's very, very simple, because once you've gone through the conditions like breathing and remembering who we are, that's a fundamental, and then inviting whatever you believe your spiritual team is that supports us, but we are sovereign, and then activate our quantum supercomputers, the body that we're breathing infinite source energy into. I mean, the body is miraculous, and I can attest to that because I healed a heart attack last year. I've always been healthy, and then I had a heart attack at the Holo movement and in Spain, and with all the loving prayers and my own inner work in the ICU where we were having a party. It was it was really a fun time in there. I love the Spanish people. Then, they couldn't find, there was zero blockage. My heart was completely healthy, and I got kicked out of the hospital. And then 4 days later, got a flight back to Vancouver from Spain. I'm in Vancouver, Canada, 18-hour flight on my own. So, we all have this capacity. People heal instant bones in 10 minutes when you want to talk about a particle and particle wave. We're both. And so that's where we can access that infinite consciousness for whatever we are choosing when we get out of our own way. So that is the present moment. It allows us to be present, which is that place of open space, of receiving and receptivity, and being in that other level of consciousness that we know we need than the level of consciousness that created the problems in the first place. So that was just like a little brief share to say, hey, anybody out there, I'm here available. I love doing free sessions because it is a very unique technique. And, it takes more to talk about it than it does to actually do it. It's about 10 minutes in the nutshell version from the nut. And then you have your spot that you can automatically be up leveling yourself and bringing alignment and coherence on an ongoing daily basis, so that we have clarity, we have less resistance and static in our field.
Thanks very much, Maureen. Yeah, it's a very powerful technique you have. Thank you so much. I hope you put your link in the chat. Ileana, come on in.
Hi there. Really enjoyed your presentation. I wanted to ask you the difference between the retreat in Sedona and the one in Mount Shasta you're doing.
Well, it's a continuation. We're starting in Sedona. We're going to open up the vortex there. We're going to bring in the ships or make that contact, and then connect the dots to a Shasta retreat where we can then go to the next level. That's what I think, Hope. Well, how would you?
Well, so there are different things that are available in each location. And, but we're going to be making use of the land in both cases. So whether we're on the mountain or whether we're out on the Red Rocks, we're going to be using the land. There are some things that are in Mount Shasta, like there's this very special place where I take people where there's this beautiful pyramid, and it's a whole excursion. And then, but basically they're going to be very similar. We're going to use some of the same practices. We're going to have the same history. Alan's going to teach some of the history of the UFO phenomena, and he's going to teach remote viewing. I'm going to do the practices and the elevation meditations and all of that, and teach about non-duality a little bit. But we have different players in each location that are going to add their special elements. So both of us we know people in both places, and we know the people we want to bring into each of the retreats. If there is a possibility to do both, and that is very exciting, because the people who are already going to be ahead of the game in Sedona will come to Shasta, and then we're really going to launch. But yeah, but basically the same
But we'd
format.
like the continuity of conscious. We'd like to initiate that grounding in the red rocks, that connection of making contact. And once that's established, we want to go to the mountaintop and bring in those UFOs, ETs that are so connected to that area as well. So we're making a bridge also. So
yeah, we are.
But you can attend, for example, just the Mount Shasta one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's over my birthday, so I'm thinking that might be a very good way to celebrate my birthday.
Wow, how exciting that would be.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
everybody's
Love to have
invited.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh man, I want to be there. Oh my. Oh, you guys are going to have so much fun. And Ileana, what a birthday. What a birthday.
Yeah.
Linda put a link in the chat that I'm wondering, Hope, if you know um, Phyllis Crystal, who has Cutting the Ties That Bind, the Figure 8 visualization meditation. Now, what's really true is there's a link there. If this stuff is coming through to all of us, and it is what you do with what you get that makes, and you cannot be proprietorial about these things. And if you hear it echoed somewhere else, allow yourself to be uplifted because somebody else has got it too. Oh my gosh. Well, this is what I think that we are beginning to understand. When the gifts are given, it's not to each one of us or just one of us. It is given to humanity.
Yes.
And you are a conduit for what needs to come through.
Yes.
And when you say no to what spirit is putting through you, you stop it. And that is not only a disservice to you, but it is a disservice to the entire the reality that we share.
Yeah, I agree. Just, yeah, because, it's not everybody's cup of tea to be delivered something and then change their lives and go out and spread the word. And it wasn't my cup of tea either. But I realized very early on that this is something I'm in service to, and not about me. And when I hear about other figure eight things. Like there's a woman in England who does walking the eights. And so I've started to incorporate that into my work because it all works together. It's fantastic. The infinity sign, that geometry is magical. And I think even more than the circle, it represents how things are, how things work. It doesn't touch in the middle, it's a lemniscate, as they say. And so it is showing us how many things can exist all at the same time, and how they keep expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting. That center point, I borrowed the word peduncle, and the peduncle is a French word that means pedoncle. In French, you pronounce it pedoncle, and it's a biological term for where the stem of the flower meets the petals, like right in that area. Or I have a handy bottle right here. So the bottle is wide, and then it narrows and narrows and narrows. And as you go up this, it becomes the peduncle. And what happens is, this is Teilhard de Chardin's theory of evolution that I learned at Findhorn in 1976, is that you imagine, I didn't plan on having this prop here, but anyway, imagine atoms, okay, floating around, spiraling up. And as they get into this narrower part, they start to rub up against each other, causing friction, right? And they get so tight that they go popping through the bottle, where there's another wide container to go into. But when they've popped through, because of the friction, there's been an alchemical process where they become a molecule. They become the next larger version of themselves. And every particle has a little God spark in it. And as they get bigger and bigger, they become more and more elegant, and the God spark grows more and more. Now, a lot of people would argue with this theory of evolution, but I think there's something to it still. And so we all get into these peduncles where we are being pushed, squeezed through the spot in order to evolve. And that's in the infinity. It's in that figure eight where it crosses. When we have these squeezes, we know, because of the design, we're always moving. It may feel like we're stuck, but actually we're always moving, and we're just going to be moving into a new iteration of ourselves. So I help people to determine where they are on that peduncle journey, so that they feel, oh, phew, I'm just coming out of it. Oh, good. I have reason to hope, Anyway, that's.
Oh, we all have reason to hope, and to have hope in our back pocket. I'd rather have her sitting beside me. Diana, come on in.
Yeah, fascinating. Hope, you must have probably told us before, but when you saw that infinity wave in your living room, what were you doing before that? You just mentioned Findhorn, so you were sort of along this path already. But
yes, just briefly, yes, along this path for most of my, really all of my life, in one way or another. And but I kept it very on a train track, side by side, my normal life, so-called. And right before, it's interesting you're asking, Diana, because that year, 2010, was a very, very difficult, stressful, horrible year. And I went to Tom Kenyon, and if you know who he is, he's a sound healer of incredible repute. And I went to back sound healing retreats because I knew that I was on empty, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And we know what can happen when you're on empty like that. Didn't want to get sick. So I went to these workshops, and I went on a shamanic journey with him. I wouldn't have called it that then. I didn't know what to call it, but I fell into a rhythm with him where I would dream about what he did the very next practice that night. I would dream, and it was amazing. And my whole goal was to clean out my inner bowl. That's the best language I can think, to just get rid of my identity, basically everything, all story, all everything. And so when I came out of that experience, I was delightfully empty. And honestly, you could have called me any name. I always say that you could call me any name and I would have said yes, because I was empty. It was incredibly freeing. And I went home. Oh, and the last practice of the last day, I felt like I had done all my scrubbing, and I had one last question. And so I asked the question before we went into the last practice. And in the practice, I received my answer. And it was such a reframe, unexpected. And I was so grateful for the clarity and understanding that came with that answer, that in my mind's eye, I was sitting on a bench, but in my mind's eye, I went prostrate on the floor, and out of me sprang these words: I am a willing vessel, do with me what you will. Not something I thought, it just, of course, I was just sitting there quietly, but I had this experience internally. And anyway, so 3 days later, I was home walking across my living room, and there's this wave.
Yeah.
And what's that? Figured out when I finally figured out that it was, the figure of water, of flowing water appeared to me as was the third vision. And I started dowsing to try to understand what it was. And then I was supposed to teach it, and I said no. And because I didn't want to be in the front of the room. I like to be in the back of the room spiritually. And I'm a student, perpetually. And they said, no, it's your time. And besides, you said you're a willing vessel. And I went, oh, dang, I did say that. So be careful what you say. But I had I couldn't control that. It just emanated from my soul. So then I had to say yes.
I have two questions. First, I'll ask one question, but answer the second question first, please. So the first question is, as you talk about dowsing, and how do you douse this infinity wave or whatever? I would like to know what it is that you actually do. The other question is there was somebody else in the living room with you at the time, wasn't there?
There was my dear friend, yes, and thank God, because otherwise I would have had no witness. And I verbalized to her what I was seeing, and the big wave first, and then the second wave turned, and I visualized that, and I told her the byline that I was observing. And then when the figure eight came in, there was no byline with that. So by that point, I had been a dowser for 18 years or so, and I had not been aware, because I learned it when I had two little babies. I was living in Texas, there was no internet. I couldn't go out to the library with two kids to look for a dowsing book in Dallas. I didn't think I'd find one. And so I just developed it by myself. I was really in a silo. I didn't know there were other dowsers out there. I didn't know there was dowsing societies around the world. I had no idea. So I taught myself. And as a result of that, I had my own way of kind of communicating. And so I was able to, and I still am, when I start dowsing, it's like a little window opens, and then I hear words and sentences, and I see things. And so we don't have to be strict about yes or no. There's usually more nuance involved. So people come to me with questions about life decisions and all kinds of things. And we get the basics of where they're supposed of their answer, but we go much deeper than that, and we get down to the nugget of the issue very, very quickly. So I don't know, it's my own thing. But now I know a lot of dowsers, and they're such wonderful people, and
But I am confused, I have to say, because my knowledge of dowsing is with this fork stick or whatever and searching for water or for metal, gold. But you're talking about something totally different.
There are many dowsing tools. Pendulums are dowsing tools. Metal
Ah,
rods that I
okay.
hold, they're metal rods that are L-shaped, are dowsing tools. There are lots of other dowsing tools for different purposes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure, thank
My
you.
father was my father was a douser as well. Um, uh, anyway, the reason I put my hand up was to make sure that I remembered that I have a question that's being coming from someone else. Sharon wants to know um, what happened. Oh, maybe this is for Alan. I'm not quite sure. You guys will figure it out. What happened exactly while you were in the Atlantic, and if you had any experiences in the
Right.
Bermuda Triangle that you can share about this?
Right. I just came back from the Galactic cruise that went through the Bermuda Triangle from Cape Canaveral down, and we had all these really out there people on the boat. Nothing that dramatic. We didn't disappear from this dimension, but the ocean did act very rough at that point as we were kind of going through the Bermuda Triangle off the coast of Miami into the Florida Straits there. And I think that doorway is opened at certain times. And I personally didn't feel like getting lost in that dimension. So, I wanted to enjoy the cruise that we were on. So nothing that dramatic, but we did go do some sky watching out of the ocean, saw some strange light phenomena out there, which if you make yourself available to this phenomena, the phenomena makes itself available to you. And this is what we're going to be doing in Sedona. And this is what, the psionics people are doing. They are shifting their consciousness. So they become beacons of light, essentially. And we are beacons of light once we get out of the fear and all the drama and make ourselves available to something without expectation, of course. So, so nothing dramatic in the Bermuda Triangle, but lots of drama in Sedona and Mount Shasta coming up.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen. And yet, this outward phenomenon that is being manifested right now, I do believe that it is for, the other people who don't understand that the ETs are already talking to us.
Yeah.
They've been talking to us all the time. And it is our ability to hear that is being developed at this point in time. I hope you know, but Alan is new here, so I'm just going to introduce him to Mom. Mom is the magic in ordinary moments that make you realize that there are greater hands weaving this reality than we know. And I play with Mom all the time, and I find that the more I play with her, the more she plays with me. It's like last night I'd gone to bed, and then I realized, oh no, I need to plug in my headphones, and I go and plug in my headphones, and what time is it? I hit my phone. It's 11:11. Take a screenshot. Mom always shows almost often shows up in sets and sequences of numbers, but she also shows up in money that I find on the beach. And the first time it was April 4th, no, April 1st, April 1st, 2020, April 2nd, April 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3 4s in the date.
Mm-hmm.
So April 4th, 2020. And I picked up $2.02, the fourth floor.
Nice. But isn't she a part of you, Shannon? Isn't that you?
Oh, and she's a part of you too.
Right. Part of all of us. Yes.
Exactly. Mom is God. but God carries a lot of baggage.
Right.
That word, and you can't stuff God inside of that small word. Yes, Stan, I see your finger going back and forth. I can't hear you though, but Natalie's here, and I bet she can turn on her microphone faster than you can.
Hello. Can I speak freely now?
Oh, please do.
Please.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'll only have like a couple minutes. I'm sorry to rush. I have to go get my hip checked out. It's hurting really excruciatingly bad. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point today for me being on here, for one, I was called to be here today. And I'm here to announce an organization I am developing. It's under construction still, but it is an organization to give experiencers a voice in the world to help people communicate with ETs in a proper way. Which I was like, this is the perfect meeting to be in, of course. So of course I was called to be here. So it's about sharing compassion and getting people to work on themselves. So the more people work on themselves, the more they will align their chakras, and they will in turn align the earth chakras. This is what was shown to me by the ETs, that the collective chakras of mankind is the earth chakras. And when that is achieved, but it doesn't have to be everyone. It just has to be a large amount of people to shift their consciousness. Then we can allow the ETs, the NHI to come in. We will meet them halfway, and we will be a part of the galactic community. So yeah, that's my announcement today. Well, I don't really know the name of the organization yet. I'm thinking Galactic Earth Alliance, but it's still up in the air. But we're going to have some big players involved. And if you guys are interested in helping out, I am all ears. The doors are open. We're still developing. If you guys, even if you have advice or anything you can give me later on, I love you guys so much. And we're going to do so much. This is historical. We're going to change the world. And together with all the knowledge that we've acquired and the love and compassion, we will help change the world and help other people open their hearts to what is really going on here. Experiencers have the key. We have the knowledge that we can give to humanity to bring them to the next step.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Natalie. Also, besides changing the world, you might want to change your mattress, because when I changed my mattress, it changed my hip structure. So
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting a new one anyway. Thank you, Alan.
just a little
I hate
suggestion while we're changing the world change. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
I hate to hop in
absolutely.
and hop out, but
Oh,
I'll put in
Natalie,
my
it's just
contact
so
information.
lovely to have you here. We've missed you.
I
And
miss
it's
you too.
any time that you get to give us, come on in. I've
Put
got,
your email
I'm
address
sending you
in the
an
chat.
email. Yeah, put your email address in the chat, and know that I have something cooking that I want you to be a part of. So, yeah. Yes, Hope. You're having to leave us.
I am going to have to leave in a few moments, so I just wanted to see if Jesse needed anything, and then I'm going to have to duck out.
Okay, Jesse, come on in. Thank you, Hope. You need to activate your microphone and your camera too, if you can. There you are.
Hello. Hi. My name is Jesse. I have not been able to dip into these after chats as much as I want to. I try and catch Humanity Rising as much as I can, but I also have a 2-year-old with me, and that's the primary reason that I can't join in. Is I need to spend my time coloring, not talking about wonderful matters like this. But I just wanted to say this is one that I saw. I signed up for notification from YouTube for, because I just saw the title of it and I was like, this is amazing. I've got to check this out. And I joined in. Actually, Natalie sent me a link to it, and I joined in just in time for the infinity meditation that you sent, Hope, and that was just like a very powerful way to start my morning. My energy levels kind of went through the roof, and it totally turned around. I've been having a rough week, family members in the hospital and stuff, and that just was very needed. It was like I kind of felt like I was called here. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. That was powerful. But I also just wanted to second what Natalie was saying, that about this organization. I've been talking with her about it as well, and I've decided to, volunteer my time to help with that. And for me, I'm coming from the perspective of kind of being relatively new to being, quote unquote, an experiencer, and kind of come to terms with, okay, these things have happened to me and are happening to me, and I'm not alone with that. Because for a long time, I've really kind of been in a hermit shell, feeling like, am I crazy? Do I need to be embarrassed or ashamed of this? Like, what's going on here? And just recently, over the past year or so, reaching out and meeting other people like you lovely folks, I've realized, oh, this isn't just me. This is a global phenomenon. Like, I'm not crazy at all. In fact, perhaps the rest of society is crazy that they're not paying attention to this. So what Natalie said about this organization and forming it really spoke to me. And I'm basically was like, hey, I'm all in. And for me, I want to reach out to people like me who maybe like have brushed against the ineffable and don't know what to make of it. And, living in mainstream consensus reality as I was, and just don't know what to do with what happened to them and feel alone, basically, because it was a very traumatic period for me. I suffered. And I want to reach out to people like me who maybe are new to this and like don't know how to process it. So I just wanted to say, from people like you who really know what you're doing and have, a professional, I don't know if professional is the right term, but a background in this. If you have any advice for someone like me who wants to reach out to, newbies, I would love to hear what you guys have to say, and any advice you have for me for how I can support other experiencers. That would be incredibly helpful for me. And also nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. Why don't, Alan, I think you're better to speak to.
Yeah, you have to go though.
I do. I'm so sorry, guys. I am in I'm in Italy now, and it's time for dinner, and they're waiting for me, so I gotta go. But lots and lots and lots of love, and thank you, Shannon. Great to see you, Stan. Really beautiful to be with all of you again. Maureen, very nice to see you. All right. Ciao,
Say hello to
ciao.
Barbara. Thanks. I hope I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Alan.
To answer Jesse's question, I would say you had this confrontation with something that you couldn't, well, what was actually that happened to you, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so I grew up with a religious background and moved away from that when I was kind of in middle school, and realized that, hey, seems to be a lot of human restrictions and frankly hatefulness injected into a really powerful message of love, and this doesn't resonate with me. But like there is something there. I had brushes in prayer and meditative practice where I was like, wow, there's something to this. So I started looking basically through the literature, and found that there's pretty much every culture throughout all of human existence talks about this stuff, just through various cultural lenses and different times and places. So I basically just kind of like put together a kind of hodgepodge contact protocol that made sense for me, and did that, and it worked. That night, I woke up in the middle of the night to a purplish blue orb floating left to right across the foot of my bed, and it was just like the most beautiful, transcendent, ineffable thing that I've ever experienced. And still to this day, I've never experienced anything like that. I was just filled with gratitude and joy. And I remember reaching out to like try and touch it. I didn't know what to do. And then I blacked out. I don't remember anything after that. But in the months that followed, I started to experience what I can only describe as poltergeist activity. That, for me, from a purely materialistic perspective, it was terrifying, and it kind of wrecked my relationship with my girlfriend that I was living with at the time. It was just, I didn't know how to deal with it, and it was kind of traumatic for me. Looking back, I've kind of processed it. I have a lot more understanding now, and I'm very grateful for it. But it was a scary place to be, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's experienced that or will experience that.
Right. So you kind of opened the door to these other realities, and you had this beautiful feeling, and then you went a little deeper in, and it just kind of, but if you can go through that fear, because it's just in a way, in my belief system, a challenge to the unknown, and you go out the other side, then you've mastered that fear. Then you've mastered and you've shifted your ego's sense of self into being something wider and bigger, to embrace the unknown, because these things will open us up, and then we'll want to put into a little box and limit ourselves. And I think the fear comes from when we think we're losing a part of ourselves, or I mean, sometimes, and we are losing a part of ourselves because we're gaining a bigger part of ourselves. We're joining a bigger universe, a bigger set of consciousness, and you're already shifting, letting go of your religious beliefs, whatever they were. And so you made yourself available to this world that you're filling in on. You're being informed by this much larger scope of reality, and these things show up because they're right outside this little framework we've locked ourselves in. William Blake says we only see through this little narrow chink in a wall, and what you start to see is this bigger unfolding. And if you could just stay centered as all the phenomena around you is moving through you and maybe trying to freak your mind, if you just stay centered in yourself, it can't hurt you. It's not going to hurt you. It's just going to take you into this next realm, and you'll find that your perceptions will be greater. Your ability to think and cognize new realities will expand. So in a way, you don't have to do anything with it. Just be the observer of the wave, and you'll unfold with it. There's nothing to do except become part of it. You're not going to be lost. You're going to be found, actually. So that's my advice. So
thank you. That really resonates with me. I appreciate that. I guess my last question would be, if there's one piece of advice that you could give someone, like right in the middle of that kind of situation where their paradigm is crumbling, basically, they're right in the midst of ontological shock. If you could give them one thing to hold on to help them, what would you say that is?
Be the observer. Don't get attached to anything. Watch it unfold without drama. So it's unfolding in front of you, and it's happening, and you're not reacting to it. You're feeling it, but you're not making it into anything. It's all a drama around us unfolding. And the more we can not disconnect, but just let it flow through us. It is like the wave. It flows through you. It comes out the other side. If we don't attach to it, we are free, and I think wiser because of it. So that's the advice. Be the observer of your reality, not the attachment to it.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. Thank you.
One more thing that Darryl Anka Bashar says: reality is not what's happening, it's how you feel about what's happening. So be open and be appreciative that your reality is shifting, because we're all moving into a new field. And this is not just happening to you, Jesse. This is happening to each and every one of us. It's happening. That's why the government is so constricted, because it doesn't know how to hold on to this control mechanism it's had. And we are moving into new realities. I call my YouTube channel New Realities, because this unknown something is making itself available to us, cognizing reality in ways we have yet to do yet. So it's like, well, you can't, a little more, I could have put this in my PowerPoint, you can't recognize something you haven't cognized. Recognition means through the recognition. So how do you cognize anything? Well, first you meet it. And don't put it into a box. And then you start to see patterns of association, and you form new levels of categorization. And then when you see it again, you recognize it, because it has the neural nets of understanding, like Joe Dispenza talks about, of cognition. So it's a process of expanding, and congratulations on your expansion. So keep it going. Yes.
Right on.
Thank
Absolutely. Thanks, Jesse, for coming and bringing your question. Diana, I see your hand is up. Is it still up, or is it up again?
It's still up. Sarah Sue can go. I just want to ask Alan, are you going to be around a little longer, or?
Me, I'll be here a little bit. I'm getting a little tired and hungry, but yeah, I'll be here for
My
another
question is for
10,
you.
10,
My
15
question is
minutes.
for you,
Thank
but
you.
Sarah Sue should come in.
Come on in, Sarah.
There's a message for you, Jesse, in there about your email address from Stan, so he can be in contact with you.
It looks like Sarah has a hand up.
Yeah.
I do indeed. Hi, everybody, and I am at the beach in Mahawal, and I showed the water is right there, and so the timing is beautiful. I actually put something in the chat that was for the lady, but
Oh,
I lost connection right at that time. So if you take a look at it, and please make sure she gets it. It is the formula for the figure 8 and
oh,
the torus energy field.
oh.
I
It's a,
will take that on as part of what I do in
I would
creating
appreciate that.
my Patreon posts for the day. I make 3 Patreon posts, and I send them to the presenters of the day. And hopefully, Alan, you'll put your email address in the chat so that we can
yes.
send you stuff. I already have hopes. And in that email, I will include what Sarah Sue has included. And that's very important to me as well. You know, the formula for the figure 8, which brings you to the 369, which is the God number.
Well, it's the formula for the torus energy field.
The formula for the torus energy field. Okay. And I have that
Now
in my
that's not
mind.
the only thing I'm going to say, though.
Oh, okay. Come on.
I'm going to say attachment, because we make a choice to be attached or not attached in every moment. And and
You're breaking up, Sarah Sue.
we are in contentment. What? Can you hear? Because I know there's music around. When unattached, what is left contentment.
Yeah,
That's all
you
I have
broke
to
up
say
really
about that.
bad there, Sarah Sue.
Let me
I'm
see if
going
I can
to
get
ask.
away, because the music is probably competing. Let me see. Is this any better? Any better?
I don't know. If you talk,
So what I
maybe
said
you'll be
is,
able to
can you
tell.
hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
There's a
Can you hear
gecko.
us?
There's a gecko. Okay. So when
All right. You're dropping, your signal is dropping.
Yeah. It's not
and
good, Sarah
behind me
Sue.
is the ocean.
Yeah, and this walking on the
All
beach and taking us with you sometimes works,
right.
but not today.
Put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat. Yeah, it's already there. Thank you, Sarah Sue. Thank you for taking us to the beach. We're going to go to Diana now.
So Alan, you mentioned the beacon of light, and as far as I'm concerned, the people in this group all have beacon of lights, and we've attracted each other here, very much so. But my question to you is very similar to what I asked Hope. And how did you get to where you are now? What was it in your background that brought you to this whole interest?
Well, actually, I write about that in my book. I write about my, I guess I would call it an abduction. Well, that's a little dramatic. I think I was always interested in the ET phenomenon, you know, obsessed with Star Trek and wanting to be an astronaut and fascinated with the stars. I lay this out in my book. And then one summer I was traveling cross country with this girlfriend, and we didn't have quite a missing time. We went driving all day interstate and getting from the West Coast to the East Coast. And we just pulled off the road down this little dirt road. And we passed out. The strange thing is, we woke up in the same position we went to bed in. And who even remembers that? Like, I don't know, how did I fall asleep last night? But somehow we had the impression of being, at least that's how I write it, a time mold. And then I also ended up having a little mark, a 4-prong puncture mark on the back of my knee. And when I got back to New York, I happened to run into some people who were working with Bud Hopkins. And I said, hey, by the way, what is this? And they said, oh, yeah, that's an abduction mark. And I said, and that did two things. It totally freaked me out. It's like, oh my God, what happened? How come? And it sucked me down the rabbit hole where I wanted to know everything I possibly could about anything UFO related. I met Bud, I met John Mack, Whitley Strieber. I'm one of the MCs at Contact in the Desert. I have, hundreds of 500 books about UFOs. I had to write my own because it's like, after you read all those books, what do you want to do? You want to write one. So I'm obsessed with the topic. I love what Jim is doing, which is furthering the conversation, but so is Danny Sheehan, so is Lou Elizondo. So, I'm obsessed because nobody has the answer here. You talk to someone like Lou Elizondo, he knows a little bit. Gary Nolan, he has a little bit. No one understands it completely because we're not at the level of evolution where we've integrated who we are as infinite beings into our body of knowledge. So this is a process, and this is the most exciting thing happening on the planet. I feel I can't think of anything that challenges the human intellect, the sense of self, the spiritual awakening of consciousness. It does it all for me. And it's ongoing. It's a Shakespearean drama where we have yet to see where it's all leading. And so just being on this journey with this group of people and, hundreds of others around the planet that are not even looking for answers, but we're trying to put all these pieces of the puzzle. And the psionic piece was a huge one that just dropped in our lap. I mean, just last week or a couple of weeks ago. So what do we make of all this? Well, Linda Moulton Howe, who writes a chapter in my book has different chapters by different people. There's a previously unpublished chapter by John Mack in there. There's a chapter by Whitley Strieber. I had Daryl Anker write a chapter by him as himself. Carolyn Corey has a chapter in there. Mary Rodwell, who works with children who've had these UFO experiences. So I put that all together like that because we need to see it from this mosaic. No one says this is it, unless you're maybe Stephen Greer. But anyway, that's something else. But no one says, I know what this is, because no one knows what we are on this amazing journey at this moment in history into the unknown, like nothing we've ever seen before. I sound like Jim Garrison, but yes, this is where we're going. And I'm so excited to be here with fellow travelers trying to figure it all out as it unfolds. And it seems like it's unfolding in the realms of consciousness. And we are becoming different people. We are becoming a Homo galacticus. We are becoming a being of the universe. And one thing I have to just add here in my book, I end with Bruce Lipton, who says, we are not humans until we create humanity, until we have this resonant connection with all of us to know that we're all part of one organism. We're all pieces. We're all cells in the body of humanity. And when we realize that, we come together as a oneness, a wholeness of consciousness, which will then allow us to meet the other ones speaking with their singularity of voice, and we form the next level of superorganism. So we're at the point of being a new species, and who knows where that's going to go, but it's going somewhere for sure, and we're part of it. We're all on this journey. So thanks for asking that question.
Oh, Alan. Diana, thank you so much for your question, because what happened right there is that my words came out of your mouth. I I had a conversation between some very powerful people, all talking with me, and it was wonderful. It was called #TheOneWeAre. What are
Yeah.
we? And
Yes.
this is the conversation that I live and breathe for.
Yes.
I feel that the purpose of my existence, the reason why I was able to come up with the acronym MOM, is because the magic has been so vivid in my life that I had to have these explosions of realizations
Yeah.
that have manifested in my life.
Mm.
And Humanity Rising is part of the manifestation.
Yeah.
I needed to have more information. My life needed something. And it was on the lockdown. I don't know if you know the history of Humanity Rising. It
Mm-hmm.
started on the day of the lockdown. Jim Garrison came on and did amazing ceremony with amazing women. And on that day, everything changed. And on day 60 of Humanity Rising, Stan Pockris came in and created this space. And
Oh, good. Thank you, Stan.
what he's done, Alan, is created an archive of Humanity Rising that holds links to the programs and all of these after chats and the chats from both. And that is the foundation upon which I place my blog, linking all of these things. This is what Stan's modus is all about. His purpose is to help connect each of us with each other. And
Great.
the work that is happening here, we are the awakening of the one we are.
Yes. Yes.
We're part of it anyway.
I'd love to hear what Stan has to say. Stan, thanks so
Okay.
much for creating.
Well, in my off, yeah. In line with all this stuff and discussing consciousness, because obviously that's the key factor.
Yeah.
What is the definition of consciousness? And
Well,
I believe I'm not going to ask for the answer. I'm going to offer one. All right. And because and my offering is fresh. I haven't researched it beyond being able to state it. And I think I should go ahead and just state what I came up with, sort of ruminating and thinking and trying to understand the relationship of us and other, which is really an important factor in understanding what consciousness is. So I'll read my little tiny, very, very small. Consciousness is the relationship of is and is not. And it's key to recognition of self and other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what is and what is not,
Mm-hmm.
that is the nature of consciousness. And I might be wrong. I might be, I don't know. Somebody might have already said that. I don't know.
There are no right or wrong answers because it has yet to be defined, because we are swimming through it. We are looking for its essence, and it has to take on all these multiplicity of forms and understanding, because it has yet to settle in to a formal definition. So it's that exactly, Stan, and I call it an application of awareness. I call it lots of people, what's his name? Federico Fraggini has a beautiful understanding of the physicist. If you've heard him speak, he had an awakening as a physicist. So he has his own understanding, but there is no right or wrong definition of conscious, because it's all things and nothing and everything. And we're finding our way in that field. Some people use it as a substitute for God. Some people call it a substitute for awareness. When something new is percolating in the movement of a new paradigm, we have yet to define it. So it's still amorphous in a sense. So it takes this changing shape as it leads us through to this next level of awareness where, oh, now in maybe 100 years, everyone will know what that means. But right now, we're finding our way through consciousness.
Yeah,
So.
and what I've realized that what I'm trying to talk about is the English word consciousness in terms of English, other English words, and has a lot of utility in the English language, and a lot of different ways of understanding isness. Well, there's isness, and then there is notness.
Right.
And how do we, and what are those things? Do those things culminate in our capacity to believe that I and other have a relationship with each other? There is I. You can't really talk about consciousness without talking about selfness. And the universe has a capacity for selfness, which is not very many people understand that, but I think it's very important.
Yeah, no, I like that. I put one of my favorite quotes about isness in the chat by Gary Snyder. Whatever is what I want. So, we're the Wizard of Is. It's all that. So,
yeah, whatever is, and whatever is not,
unless it is.
But it has the potential.
Has the potential for being
is. Potential.
Yeah.
So,
thank
Giorgio,
you.
All right, it's fun to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Stan. I love talking consciousness with you, and I'm so glad that you have created this space so that you can talk about it too. I noticed that Giorgio has an opinion on this as well, and I'm sorry that he hasn't made himself apparent. But I'm going to read out: consciousness is the awareness of being, which makes being a meaningful agent.
And being is part of isness.
Absolutely. If you are not, you cannot be.
That's right.
Can you have consciousness without awareness? Can you have awareness without consciousness? Are they intertwined? Are they the same thing? I think awareness is broader in a sense. Consciousness seems to be, this is just my understanding, a kind of almost individualized connection to all things. But awareness, I don't know, maybe that is what is. So
I feel that the being that you were talking about, Alan, that is the accumulation of all of our awarenesses, is the inside of the torus coming up into the fountain that out of which emerges this new being that is the next fractal of life.
Well, I think we're moving into that next fractal by joining the others. We're starving to get out of our isolation. That's why we're obsessed, Shannon, with this topic, because we know there's a bigger reality. We know we're about to be welcomed into some greater consciousness of that takes us away from the pettiness of humans, the wars, the awful things people have done to each other. And, one of my favorite quotes is by H.G. Wells, and he wrote The War of the Worlds, but years later, he wrote a book called The World Brain. And he said, isn't there, someday humans will look back at an old newspaper or articles and think, was there ever such a world? That's where we're moving into a time where we
that is manifesting through us.
Yes. Stan.
I used to think that curiosity was the key factor in the universe. And I would say to people, well, if God created curiosity, everything else would follow. And I'm having a conversation here with Jim, and I mentioned that. And then I go to sleep and I wake up the next morning. I said, wait a minute. How can you have curiosity without consciousness? So I gave up on curiosity as being the key factor in the universe.
Well, it's a factor though. If
It
you're without
certainly is.
curiosity,
Oh, it's very important. But you can't have curiosity without consciousness.
right. But consciousness just is there, but curiosity drives the engines of consciousness.
Yes, that's right.
It makes, my teacher said, we're here to make known the unknown, which means we're here to be creators. That's our destiny as human beings, to be creators and add to creation. I'm writing a whole book about creativity, actually. So, you know, of course, we're here to have families and friendships and relation, all that. But our main purpose for being is to activate the creative imagination and bring more unknown into the human field. And what that does, it allows us to feel more of who we are. That's the power of art. And whatever art form it is, it's to feel. And then when you start feeling, the soul registers and increase its ability, its capacity to have empathy and compassion and joy and all the things that our soul, which is that's on this evolutionary cycle, is here to give us as beings, you know? So the more creative we are, the more we add to creation as active agents of this great force that's flowing through us. So
I want to bring. I have to leave, Stan, so I'm going to usurp your position at this point. This has been such a good conversation, and the piece that I want to bring in here is the importance of our human bodies.
Yeah.
Because without our bodies, we could not have these thoughts. And so what I want to bring in is the idea of creating places where the art that you're talking about, Alan, is nurtured, where the bodies that we inhabit are honored and coveted, and through the caring of our bodies and helping others to care for their bodies, all of us have the ability to create an exponential effect on the world. And it is through those spaces in our communities that we create those places that happens. It needs to happen in every community, in the hearts of communities everywhere, places where we grow good kids and good food and good community, because it is when our bodies are happy that we are able to create, because we have the time to do that.
Yes. I have to, speaking of which, I have to nurture this body soon. So,
yeah, that's right.
One more phrase.
Yes, Stan.
Behold the glory of God, which is the Black churches talk about that. They have another word for it, but the glory of God, which is really what we're saying, is the ultimate role that mankind can play, is to observe and glorify and understand as best we can the glory of the universe, the fabulous nature of everything that we are part of. And yes, and Alan, thank you for being with us, and I'm very happy with our conversation today.
Me too.
And thank you for letting me spout my is and is not.
Spout all you want, Stan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, everyone here. I look forward to doing it again.
Well, we're here every day. You're always welcome.
Oh, every day?
We're here every day after Humanity Rising. This is the after chat, which is what I named it in day 60. And we are the chat people. And you'll get an email, maybe a stream of emails. I send out an email every day with the link to the episode and the after chat and the chat from both of them.
Well, I hope
And
people can join us in Sedona and in Shasta and get my book. I put a link into a free introduction, and then it's on Amazon. And check out my YouTube channel, New Realities, and going to be doing a lot. I'm hosting the MUFON event in Cincinnati this summer. I'm also going to be emceeing the Contact in the Desert event at out in Palm Springs. So these are two exciting, ongoing UFO contact that we're
we'll
all
try to
invited.
get all of that into the pages that we create for you in other networks.
Great.
Other networks is my collecting point, my whole Earth catalog of what we're doing. And
Great. Thank you all. Thank you, Jack, for listening so well. I appreciate that too. And
That's an amazing listener. Yeah.
And I just want to say, when Stan says every day, that means, you know, the 5 days a week of the work week.
Right. Right.
Well, plus Saturday.
Sometimes.
But
Not
3
always.
hours later.
All right. Well,
I
I'll
gotta
do this
go.
again. So see you guys. Thanks so much.
All right.
I
Take
look
care.
forward to it.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
doing this, Stan, and
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you,
y'all.
Alan. That was great.
Thanks. Really fun. Bye, everybody.
So who's next? Diane always has something wonderful to ask.
I don't always have something, but I must say, I think we're blessed. I think we're really blessed. And I'm just so happy that I made it to this group, because otherwise I would not be having this information coming to me, this realization, whatever. Support actually is more the word in a way, because, you know, you're out there with these thoughts and feelings and questions, but there's usually nobody you can turn to around you, you know. That's what I find fascinating. Why does this individual have this? Is this individual like this, where all the other individuals around them have absolutely no interest and think you're crazy, you know? So I'm very glad that I have found my other individuals. Thank you.
We're on the Yellow Brick Road.
Perhaps.
Yellow Brick Road. And where does the Yellow Brick Road go? I forget from the story, from the song.
And where does it start?
Yes, that's right.
Other
Well,
than
that's an important factor. One of the most important factors that science has just totally lost it about. They talk about the beginning. Where are you going to find that beginning? Tell me where is that beginning? There is no such thing as a beginning.
Oh, I just got to talk to Jude Caravan. She says she knows the beginning.
Yeah,
I think
good.
she said something like that.
Uh-huh.
That we finally figured out what.
Yeah,
what
well,
was
she
going
talks
on
about
at the
14
Big
billion
Bang.
years ago, and it's like silliness. I mean, the Big
Yeah,
Bang.
but she claims that they have figured out. Well, it's not the Big Bang. That's the big. They call it something else. The Big Breath. Some of them.
Yes,
But
breathing.
they're
Yes.
getting pretty clear on how everything started.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
there had to have been something before the Big
have.
Bang. Where did the Big Bang come from? And Jesse has something to tell us.
Yes, let's talk to Jesse. Go ahead. You have to
Well,
there you
science
go.
can be wrong.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I have to go, but I just wanted to express my gratitude to you guys. This is my first time. I've watched some Humanity Rising videos, but this is my first time really engaging with, this community. And in one of his recent interviews, Jake Barber talks about, people keep talking about ontological shock, which is, real. I've experienced that. But he said for him, it was a sense of ontological relief. And I wanted to express my gratitude to you guys, because for me, going from feeling like I was totally alone and like going crazy or whatever, to like reaching out and finding groups like this and others like, oh, there's more people who have insight and other pieces of the puzzle. That's what brought me from ontological shock to ontological relief. And now I just feel excited and grateful for my experiences, even the ones that were a little scary at the time, just from my reaction. So yeah, groups like this, you guys are doing the real work here. You're the ones who are leading the charge, so to speak, and kind of paving the way for people to go from like, dazed and confused, what the hell is happening, to, oh, there's community and there's love on the other side of this. It's not so scary and overwhelming. So thank you guys for welcoming me here. I'll try and join when I can.
We'd
Thank
love
you,
it.
and you're welcome whenever you can. And there is this thing that I publish called Other Networks, and always looking for material to add to it. And there's a button on the front page of othernetworks.org that says add a page. And you can do that. You can say, I want to
Jesse,
talk about this.
yeah,
Go ahead.
just to clarify that because we have, or Stan now has your email, he'll be sending out the recording of both the Humanity Rising together with the chats, the written chat, this one and the written chat. So, and that will give you an introduction to his other networks. So if you want to put anything in there or questions or search, because there's a lot of information in that other networks.
Yeah, just
hardly anything compared to
short
the
one
rest of
here.
the
I
universe,
think,
but
just as you were talking about finding people who are doing good things, I think most people don't realize how many people are out there trying to create a world that works for all. And I mean, so many people, even activists that I know, and people that are kind of working on it themselves in a sense, just are not tuned into the fact that there are so many people out there doing it. And we're still kind of a small part of the total population, maybe, but it's huge.
Yeah,
So
I
anyway, I
was
wanted you to know that
completely,
there's a lot more of us out there.
yeah, I'm learning a lot. I'm trying to hit the ground running, but I had no idea any of this was out here. And like I said, it kind of felt like I was stumbling around the dark. And then I kind of turned on a light switch. I reached out and was like, oh, there's like a million other people in here all talking and loving, and like this is great. Like, why didn't I reach out sooner? So yeah,
yeah. How did you find Natalie?
So I met Natalie. I think Trisha sent me a link or sent me a blurb about Danny Sheehan, and that's how I got involved. Was I saw through New Paradigm Institute. Sorry, my 2-year-old is playing with blocks in next to me.
Okay.
I saw one of his interviews, I think, on YouTube, just like looking up, alien YouTube videos, trying to figure out what was going on with all this stuff. The whole UAP angle is brand new to me. And then I found out about Citizens for Disclosure, and I was like, well, this is exactly the type of thing I'm looking for, I feel called to use my voice to like speak up about this. I've opened up to my family about the things that have happened to me, and that can be painful and scary, but ultimately I'm grateful for it. So I was looking for like a way to reach out and try and help. Like, how can I help? I got through this, and people helps me. How do I help now? So Citizens for Disclosure was kind of something that I found, and I haven't been able to be very involved in it as much as I want to be. But I met Natalie and a couple other people through there, and I've been able to just kind of like, send periodic updates or share videos and stuff. And then Natalie was like, oh, you have to check out Humanity Rising. And so I was like, sweet, yeah, and now that I'm here, I'm very grateful for it. I feel maybe I was led to this for a reason. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Yeah, and when you find something that needs to be known by other people, you can add a page in Other Networks for it. There's a button on the front.
First, talk to us about it.
Yeah, talk to us. Yeah.
Yes, I will. I don't know that I'm the one who has wisdom to share yet,
well,
beyond just, hey, here's my story, but absolutely.
But that's what's so important, that we hear other people's stories. We learn through that as well. So, please don't feel inhibited at all in terms of sharing anything.
It's nap time, so I've got to go. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Happy nap time. We love babies. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, here. Say hi. Say hi to Daddy's new friends.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Hi. Hello.
You guys.
What a cutie pie. Hi, cutie pie.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh boy, we have a good time here.
Yeah.
So I'm tempted to just go and get my breakfast. I haven't had that yet. And maybe we've had enough for today. Wow.
Yeah,
I have.
Natalie has the idea to create an organization for experiencers, that's a great thing to do. And we need more and more organizations. We need thousands of organizations with little conversations like this one.
Yeah, but
Thousands.
then who's gonna figure out how to put all these organizations in touch?
Well, that's what that's
Little
what it's all about.
That's our job, right?
Well,
No,
it's
not
not
about.
just our job, it's everybody's job.
I
Everybody
have,
needs to
Oh,
pay attention to whenever they see whatever what it is out there. Yeah,
I
Diane,
have two
go ahead,
questions.
oh,
Diane.
Diana has the answer.
Yes,
No, I certainly don't, but I'm very interested in hearing everybody else's answers.
okay.
And I have two questions. One is, Sharon, did you hear Alan's answer to your question?
Partially, thank you so much. I did ask Trisha to text it because to put it in the chat for me. I've been in and out for the last few hours and I haven't heard much of today, but
Okay, well, look at the
thank
recording.
you.
And, yeah, look at the recording and you'll get your answer to it. So.
Thank you.
One
The
of the
gist of
things,
what I got was that not really anything happened that was
Right.
significant enough for him to go into. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Did you
pretty
all get
much what we
that?
heard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you so much for trying
Yeah.
to weave it in. I appreciate all your help.
yeah. Shannon did a good job of that.
Yeah, she did.
Trisha had something in there for him. And
my other question is, Sabina Spencer is a name that
we don't know.
And if she has something to say, that would be really nice.
We
But
never
she has to
hear from
turn on
Moses.
her microphone first.
We never hear from Moses.
No,
Well,
but that's a known factor. Moses writes.
Yeah. And she has talked to us.
Yeah. And Angela is Angela in Italy or somewhere? I mean, British.
Unless she's the Angela that is hooked up with Steve.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm there with you in heart. I'm so sorry for being rude and being blacked out, but there's a reason for that.
Okay.
I've been moving. I moved house, so it's they say a house is like a form of death because the old self dies. So I'm very sorry. It's been a very a very positive experience, but a hemorrhage, a house is like a hemorrhage. So I'm very sorry if I haven't been online a lot, but gladly with you today.
Where are you now?
I'm still in Italy, Diana.
Okay.
In fact, I was quite intrigued to hear that our guest speaker today, Hope, is also in Italy. A little voice was saying, "Where is she?"
Yeah.
We may have the same bread shop in common. She may be around the corner.
Yes.
Keep your
Stan,
eyes
have
open.
you any ideas? Have you any idea where Hope is in Italy?
There was a conversation about that. I don't remember. And the conversation included another friend of ours who is also in Italy and has been over the couple of years we've known her speaking about the beauty of northern Italy and the people and friends that she's made there.
Can I just interject here for just a second? She travels quite a bit, Hope does.
Yes.
And I think if you look at her website, you will find if she's actually doing speaking engagements or presenting her work, her little book is lovely, and I've been following her since she started. And the work is amazing and it's so powerful. So a look at her website, you may find exactly where she is this week.
I will do. I think, it's like, at least speaking for myself, there have been periods when I had a lot of blind people in my life or a lot of deaf people in my life. Or there was a period when many people came to me with the name Rose. And although, we're all on this pathway, we're on a track. And I was already on that track, but when I should have been studying for my O levels in the UK, I was still very young. I was like 15, 16 years old. Instead of swatting for my exams, I always gravitated towards, I can't remember the number, it's 300 and something in the library. And it's the metaphysical, it's dowsing, it's history, it's the whole magical aspect of life. I was always there. I felt very much at home there. And that book by Stryber was probably one of the first things that brought me on, and so I was very thrilled when I heard Hope say today that for her to Stryber's book Communion was that kind of first connection. I was very thrilled about that.
Which book is that?
Communion by Whitney Stryber.
Okay. Are you putting it in, Stan, or?
I don't know how to spell anything.
Community, you said, Angela, by Whitney Stryber.
Well, Diana, aren't you in Germany? Germany, I'm sure it's a German. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can get on the Zoom. Wait a minute. I will.
It's called communion. Communion, not
Yes.
community.
Yes.
Communion. Okay.
And he also, Whitley Strieber also has an amazing website, and he does podcasts regularly, and there's a lot of free content on his site.
Yes.
And the stories are amazing. So that's another website for you all to look at if you're not already receiving his emails.
You see, when we're children and we were taught the oral tradition, that I'm from a kind of historic parts of the UK, a bit like New England in the UK. We were like a living museum. There was no real strong religion. We all lived together. And that's how we learnt by stories. I mean, a lot of the islands of the UK, the weavers sang to make the fabrics. The fishermen had a song, and there was no qualification. We've now created this kind of mechanism where, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. But we categorize people. And I think the message that we've been getting today, is that we can reduce it to small stories, but the stories create history. And each one of us, is a letter on the page or a word on the page. We're also vastly important in the sense of change. Like, you can read a whole book, which is a magnificent book, but you do notice the typing errors. And so that means that even one little letter has its value, say, oh, they spelt that wrong in the book, because it's part of that flow. I don't know if I'm making sense. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are. And I pay a lot of attention to categorization. That's one of the most important things to me. And
certification. How do you certify somebody's life?
well,
how do you put a certificate on things?
Yeah, at this point, we can't certify anything because the news and everything is up in the air. There's nothing certifiable because nobody agrees on anything. Well, that's not true, but it's getting bad. And one of my favorite words these days is the notion of findability. How do we make sure that the ideas that we want to share with each other can be found? And so I've started playing around with findability in other networks. And anybody who wants to add things or edit things in other networks is welcome to do that. So if you have things that you find in the world that other people should find out about, other networks is my homage to the whole Earth catalog. And
Danny, can I ask a clarification? That's not, on my part. When Jim, and I'm sorry to mention Jim, that is probably not online anymore, but you can ask him that anyway. This dichotomy of them and us, the sky looking down at us, are we not already intermixed? And these beings of all levels, of different races, are already intermixed. Why is there this kind of, we have to get in touch with them? When you read a book like Communion, you know that we feel together, we breathe together, we are already, it's the energy, it's not a race or being as we see it, not beings, but that I really find it hard to I really find it hard to kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Accept this idea of them and us, to bring it down to, boil it down to that.
Well, that's the problem of humanity. Our current state of is them who wants to own everything and us who wants to share everything. And that's one of my favorite distinctions. We've got to get the people who want to own everything to realize
I know.
they are sharing it, and we who want to share everything, they can have. We can all own everything, everything and everything. We can all own it. We can all be it, and yeah, and
So we're
it's
all
okay.
together. Angela, it's the way
And
we've been brought up. It's the way we've been brought up to think. Let me quickly ask a question. This is before I put this in the chat. Communion by, and I remember that Ubiquity wrote up when they wrote up this Humanity Rising. They have the name in there, Whitley Strieber.
Strieber, Strieber,
and it's Whitley, not Whitney, right? With an L.
Whitney, yes. Yeah, Ley. And I would love
Right.
to respond to Angela if there's a minute here. I've been trying to put something
Yes,
in.
please do. I have no secrets you can share. I would love you to.
Of course, I just wanted to. I know
yes.
there's a kitty cat meowing in the background, so I'm going to try to move away from.
You got to speak up.
Conversation. All right, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry about the background busyness. I'm going to say hello for a second, and then I'll. I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me?
Yes, Sharon.
And you have this beautiful bird behind you.
Oh, that's still there. See, I don't know how to take it away. Anyway, I'm going to turn off the video because I'm also moving around. Angela, I want you to just be aware that what is the greatest intention in my understanding is that humanity is recognizing that those beings that we keep referring to as they are us. They are us.
Yes.
They are us in our future dimensional beingness. And some of those beings are with us in the present moment. And my understanding is there's no real past and future. So there's a whole lot of timeline tripping going on. And we are moving in and out of other dimensions all the time, in and out of other conversations with beings that are not seen so much all the time. So we just have to continue to remember they are accessing us and we are accessing them all the time. And I think my understanding of Jim's intention is to help us. He keeps saying, speak the mother tongue. So many people that I know speak light language. And if we learn how to listen to what comes out of our own mouths, then we can actually communicate more clearly and have that understanding. So I just wanted to throw that in the pot.
Yes. But do you not feel that there are certain, if we're segmented into a kind of lizard side of us, or because this week I found out about Carolyn Smith, a great lady, a physicist from the 1970s, thanks to Ubiquity Rising. I came back on this week after an interval of time, and that Carolyn Smith was light years ahead. She really was a light being, and we are visiting these different levels all the time. We ourselves, as travelers, as visitors, we are on this intergalactical journey. But I have read that the Earth had to be a planet of choice. It had to be a planet of will. So this is where the kingdom of heaven is made. This is also where we make hell. If we try to be lighter in being, lighter in heart, and sow seeds of goodness, they will flourish. But when we start to hammering Trump all the time, or being divisive, that is not going to help the energy. We have to focus on, on this plurality, on acceptance, but on a higher level, on higher energy. That's what I want to say. But in literature that I've read over the years without looking for it, it looked for me. I have read that there's like the 12 tribes in the Bible, there are different intergalactic races. We know that some of them are bad neighbors, some of them are very good neighbors. And so, although there is this kind of unity, there is this communion of being, I do feel that it has to do with resonating. If I'm singing in a chorus and I'm singing Bob Dylan and somebody else is singing like Elvis Presley, there's going to be a discord. I think that we do attract obviously, and I think very much at acoustic level as well, sound is everything. Maybe creation began with a sound. That is a wave. We are
Absolutely.
calling,
Yeah, it's all
calling us.
frequency.
Go on, Sharon.
It's all frequency, and we all are banding together in bandwidths, literally. And we're
Yes.
finding these beings who support us. And so I just want to remind us all, everybody's evolving at their own frequency with their own tribal bandwidth, and they're learning what they need to learn as we move through it. So absolutely, I think you're onto something when you start delineating, like, yes, there's those aspects of this tribal consciousness that's not doing the nicest things or the kindest things. You know, Stanley keeps referring to everyone who wants to own things versus everyone that wants to share things. And there will be these continual awarenesses that we are splitting, you know, that we are coming into it. And it's not splitting like, oh God, they're so horrible and we're so this. It's more about just the frequency of like changing bandwidths and recognizing that we were also once there too. You know, we were learning and growing through those bandwidths just like those beings are now. You know, I think it's really important that we keep holding space for all to evolve through this, all of us to evolve through this. Okay, I'll shut up now.
No, absolutely. We all resonate with that. Yes, definitely. And you know, the problem is the television and the mass media, especially what's happened with Trump. I don't feel, you know, I find something quite childlike and playful about him, because behind him there is something else. He's only like Pinocchio, I feel. So if you see him as a kind of Pinocchio, you know, you don't really have those feelings of hate or of disgust, or, you know, just see him as being somebody's playing with his strings. If we nourish ourselves with newspapers, that is not where the truth is. The truth is in people's hearts, and as this orchestra of hearts, we will resonate, and you will know the truth. You don't need to read it; you will feel it.
I love your analogy of Pinocchio. We've been calling him Little Donnie, you know, because he's really just a tiny little child. For much of his awareness is driven by his childlike nature that never got to be in wonder, you know. So now he's playing with power, like a 3 or 4-year-old would be constantly playing with power. Yeah. So that's I'll rattle and ramble.
But we will empower a new kind, and this, I think, as everybody's saying, you get that feeling, hey, that's why we're here. That's why I bought a ticket on this row. That we had to see the worst. These people served a very valid purpose, which was to illuminate us. That's not the way you go. I mean, what they show on the television, they always show American Beverly Hills, you know, the best of America. If we started to show around the world the landscape because of industrialization, as I've seen happen in Romania, for instance, you know, I stayed in an area which actually, what was the likelihood? I ended up staying in a place that an English lady has started to buy up and try and conserve, like, you know, a jar of jam. And the Romanian girl that runs this kind of, I don't want to say hotel, it's a home. You go and stay in these wooden homes. She said, you know, for years we've been recycling everything, and then we find in front of us this landscape that we're trying to recycle paper bags, or we're trying not to harm the earth. And then we get these monster Amazon factories in front of us, you know, that what we're doing puts everything, you know, but it doesn't. We have to persevere, because on some plane, you are a model and you are a flame, and that flame must not go out. I mean, just to finish here, I started to read a couple of books about Romania, which has undergone savage industrialization since the fall of communism. And there was an English writer who went there. Writer he was a traveller, and he ended up falling in love with a gypsy girl from that area and had a child with her. And he wrote about his experience there. And he said when he went in the 1970s, in somebody's garden, there were 600 pear trees from the medieval period. Those trees, you can imagine the fragrance of 600 veteran pear trees. And when he went back after like 12, 15 years, they demolished the whole of the landscape. You know, we have to arrive at a period of a point of awareness that instead of looking at a television screen or a cell phone, we look at the landscape and we know that that is where we can build or preserve the Garden of Eden and the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, no, what you were saying is so depressing, and you see that everywhere. It comes back to the money and greed, as Stanley has been saying. I just wanted to bring up a point which I think is extremely important, which Alan had mentioned when he was talking, and that is that with everything that's going on, observe, but don't get emotionally involved.
Yes.
And I have been seeing in this, well, not in this group here, but in the talks on Humanity Rising, the emotion that gets put into the chat concerning the political figures, and I just can't understand it. You know, that's just not bringing about any help or any positive change. You know, as I say, observe it, be aware of what's going on, and do what you can to keep the light. I mean, you keep the love in your heart. That's what we need.
But Diana, sweetie, that's the very thing I'm just talking about. Everybody has to evolve through these emotional frequencies just like you did at some point in your evolution, right? So we've got to remember that this is part of what's happening is people feel safe here to express, just like that lady that I had a little moment with last week. She felt very safe to say, there's a problem here, right? So all these people who are in their business, up in everybody's business, politically and emotionally charged around these things, there's a reason. We have to acknowledge this shadow energy or we won't be able to work with it. We have to have it. I was glad she did what she did. It called me to a place of, oh my goodness, this conversation could really, this group of people could go south quick if we don't understand how to allow it and move with it. Do you know? Thank you for letting me just jump in here and interrupt you.
Stan, if it's any consolation, and I know you're currently on Ramadan, and we're going to let you go off and have a massive breakfast. In fact, Stan, you deserve 2 breakfasts today. I do mention on occasions Rudolf Steiner, though I'm not that informed about him as I would like to be. Rudolf Steiner, I have a lot of friends who do follow him. Rudolf Steiner said, we need these people because they show us, you know, we need those people to point these things out. And he said, who owns too much and accumulates too much will not be allowed back in. And they know that, and they're trying to accumulate as much as they can. They won't get a second chance to come in and they won't get a second chance to come in and evolve, live in this place of free will, which is a massive opportunity. And there's a queue out there waiting to join us, you know, on the other planes.
Well,
I do understand that. I'm wondering if you all would, I don't know if you're turning your role over to someone else, but I'm wondering if anybody would just give me a quick summation of your biggest takeaways today from Hope and Alan, because I didn't get to hear. And if anybody's interested in doing that, I'd love to hear. But if not, I understand if y'all need to go somewhere other direction.
I think it's too widespread in my mind. I don't think I can really give you a summary.
Yeah, that's why we record things.
Yeah, Hope did a wonderful meditation.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, I will listen to the recording.
It's with water. It's with the infinity wave, Sharon. So I think you'd really enjoy it. Actually, she put it in the chat here, didn't she? She did put a meditation in there, and I think it's just, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I believe so.
So
I don't know
Stanley?
about other people, but you know, when you come online, you've got like already parallel dimensions. You've got the speaker, you've got the chat, you've got your own, you know, reflections and trying to quickly absorb what's a huge wedding meal, you know, a wedding dinner. But there was, I was very keen and I want to follow up a lot of notes that I've taken. The Six Observables by Lou Elizondo. I don't know if anybody else would. That sounds to be, you know, a very appetizing
Angela,
avenue.
Angela, if you've seen the interview by Ross Coulthard with Jake, what's his name? It's what they mentioned in there as well. Jake, can't remember his surname. But if you look it up, you will see that Jake, who's had this experience, he felt his body being overtaken by another being, but in a very positive sense. In any case, Jake also mentions Lou's 6 observations. I took a photo of that slide. So if you want me to include it in something and send it to you, I could do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
today,
Angela, are you on our email list? Do you get a
I am. I
People?
think I've
Chat
disappeared,
People, it's got
Stanley.
my
I've
name
not.
at the
You've,
top. It's
yeah,
got
you
my
know,
name at the top, and
it's
then
for
it's got
some
Chat
for
People.
some reason it stopped coming. So, you know, send me out that boomerang. Send me one of your boomerangs.
Well, you put your email address in the chat or send it to me directly. And you know how to do that?
Yes, I will. Yeah, here I am.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'll
Okay.
keep it private
All right.
because this is my work address. So
Okay.
the reason why I'm giving you that is because it's got a bigger volume.
Mm-hmm.
The other one fills up very quickly. There we go.
Okay.
All right. I don't see any. There we go. Yes. Thank you.
Right, Franco, yes, Jake Barber. Thank you. Angela, is that a Gmail address?
Okay.
Yes,
You
it
send it
is
to
part.
me.
Yes,
So
it is. It is.
Okay, then I have it.
Today, there was also mention of New York University and Chapman to do with our observation, how our observation concretizes reality. We know it's not a new concept. It's always good to, you know, hear the same song because it reinforces. But who were the people that were carrying out that there's 2 avenues of research? It was at New York University and Chapman University. Did anybody catch the name?
This is a method of differentiating particle and wave has been a part of physics and now for close to 100 years. And
Yes.
so it's a very important component of understanding of the universe now. Particle and waves theory. I mean, when I was in college, there was only particles, and there were waves, but they couldn't be mixed. And the 2-slit experiment came along and made physicists realize that, oh my God, these things are the same, but they're not. They're the same, but they're not. They're made for a lot of this debate, and that debate's still going on. But it should be easy to
we have to
find.
thank one of our speakers today for that anecdote about the mattress, which is very true. We spend so much time on our mattresses. You know, people take care of their cars, but that was a great truth.
Yes, well, Natalie is concerned about her hip, so she's off to a physician today to try to deal with her hip. And I have legs. My legs don't work right. Oh well. I'm going to stop recording and stop the summary of our conversation.
And we should
Stop.
all go and get our breakfast, lunches, and dinners.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
All right.
Big hug to everybody. Thanks so much. Our timeless time, really, we don't want to end because maybe there is no end.
That's right. There is
There
none.
is the end.
There's no beginning either.
Mm, mm.
All right.